Welcome back to my Patreon site. Hope you guys are all doing well. I had an idea for some new kind of videos that I would share here with you. Song stories, the origination of songs that I've written by myself or with other writers. And in this case, my great fortune to have a songwriting partnership with Michael McDonald all these years. We wrote our first thing together in about 1990, maybe 1989 even, because I joined his band in 1988. And within 6 months or so, I played him the first song idea I had, and he right away went and wrote a lyric for it and a melody. So we developed a songwriting partnership that's been pretty lucrative. I mean, as far as just a quantity, if nothing else, certainly quality with Michael's involvement. Anyway, the first song I'd like to spotlight is a song we wrote together called Obsession Blues. That one. That was on his Blue Obsession album. This was really the first song written for that project. And the story behind that song is I was living in Chatsworth, California at the time, in the San Fernando Valley. This is back in 1995, I believe. That sounds about right. Mike had told me previously, either on the phone or at a gig or in conversations, that he had an idea for a blues rock tune. He wanted it to be very guitar based, which was unusual at the time for me because, Mike, I've always thought of him as more of a keyboard writer, but he was really gravitating towards guitar, writing a lot of stuff on guitar. But he had this idea, and he came to my house in Chatsworth, and he said he wanted it to be a rock tune, like a blues rock, but a la Jimi Hendrix. And I was like, okay. And so he came to my house in Chatsworth, and he had played it on, he played me the figure on a keyboard. Just that. That part wasn't there yet. But he just, this basic. So what I did is I set up a drum loop, a programmed drum loop, just to, something we could just play to. And then I picked up a bass, and Mike played those chords on keyboard, and we mapped out the chord changes. He had a good deal of it already in his head, but I helped shape it and come up with a few different directions. I mean, I might have come up with that whole section. I think I helped on that part. Anyway, he had no lyric, so he wasn't singing to the track at all. We were just playing keyboard, bass, and this drum loop. And I had a home studio back then as well, and we put down the keyboard, the bass, and the drum track. And I didn't put any guitar on. We just left it at that. And then Mike said, well, can I just put down a reference vocal just so I don't forget where I hear the melody? And I went, no, absolutely. So I set him up with a mic. And this is when I knew Mike was from another planet. His extraordinary genius was revealed to me in this. If it hadn't been before this day, it definitely did. I set up a mic for him, and he test 1 2 1 2, ran the track a little bit, and then he goes, okay, just let me have a pass so I can document the idea I have. So okay. So this track starts, and he comes out with these lyrics. I'm blanking on the lyrics myself. And it's, stand back in a room full of strange faces. The lyric to Obsession Blues came out of him in one take. And he hadn't written anything down. And as a matter of fact, he never had sketched out anything before this particular, this idea was in his head. And he had the whole lyric, all the verses, all the choruses. And he put it down in one take. And I've got that demo. That demo is posted here on my Patreon. You'd have to scroll way back. Maybe I'll post it again so you don't have to scroll so back. I'll do that. Anyway, he finished the take, and I looked at him and I said, where the hell did that come from? And he said, well, I kind of just had it in my head. And I said, I can't believe you'd remember all that and just sing it in one take. And he did. And the lyric never changed from that day. Mike is responsible 100% for the lyric of that song. The music we wrote together. Okay, part 2 of this story of the song. So Mike, anyway, we finished that day session, and I think we had a gig coming up soon, within days. So I said, well, I'll see you, I think it was going to be in Santa Rosa, as a matter of fact. And I said, well, I'll see you at the next gig, next show. And he goes, okay. He goes, if you want to mess around with that track and just drop my pick, sorry. Into the sea of where did picks come? Found another one. Anyway, he says, if you want to mess with the track and see what you can do with it, feel free. So I went, okay. So he left, and I started playing with it, and I pulled out my guitar because I thought, well, the first thing I'd want to do is, give him the Hendrix effect that he wanted. So I just, first thing I came up with is, and then this. I mean, that's Hendrix to me. So I added that part to the song. And I sort of buried his keyboard track and just built up a track of maybe 3 or 4 guitars. I think his keyboard is on there. Excuse me, but the guitars are predominant. So, and I built a new drum track. I played a live drum track, which it's funky, but it works. And so basically I added new drums. I added new guitars, about 4 tracks of guitars, and really shaped it into more of a blues rock tune that Mike had mentioned he wanted. So I finished it, mixed it, and put it on my. I think we were still using cassettes back then. Anyway, I mixed it and I put it on a cassette, and I was a little nervous about it. Back then we didn't quite have internet yet. This was, we didn't have internet. This was 95. It was 95. We did have internet, but we didn't have high-speed internet. So we weren't transferring files to each other back then. So I basically had to wait to see him next to play it for him. And so I'll never forget this day. We did that gig I spoke of in Santa Rosa. The band was together. And we were in the van. It was after sound check. I believe it was either on the way to sound check or leaving sound check. Not quite sure which, but I had my Walkman back then, and I had the cassette queued up of the track that I had worked on. And I handed it to him. I said, Mike, here's that song I worked on it. See what you think. And I was really nervous because I didn't know what he was going to think. And he goes, cool. So he puts it on. And about 20, 30 seconds into the take, he says really loud, how people when they have headphones on and they talk louder because they can't, quite gauge how loud they're talking when headphones are on. And he all of a sudden goes, sounds fucking great. That was the first thing he said. I'm like, okay, cool. And he goes, oh, man. So he takes them off and he goes, put this in the cassette. And the whole band was in the van. So this was kind of neat. He goes, put this in. So Alan Tate, our tour manager at the time, he puts it in the cassette of the rental van and blasts it. And it really sounded great, I have to say. And Mike was just so enthusiastic and just praised how great it sounded. I couldn't tell you how great that made me feel. And he said, with the track finished, just play that again. So we played. We must have listened to it 3 or 4 times. And the whole band was grooving on it. And it was, mind you, this was really different than anything the band had ever played with Mike. So they were kind of going, what direction are we going here? We weren't going to play the tune at this point because it hadn't been recorded yet. But it was a departure, let's put it that way, a departure for Mike's writing. And I'm pretty sure, and I'm proud to say this, that song was the catalyst for the beginning of Blue Obsession to start a new album. We wrote a couple more, a few more, for that album, which I'll talk about in the next story. But anyway, Mike was excited about it, and the following year, or maybe it was even a couple of years later, the record was started because Mike was still on Reprise Records at the time, a division of Warner Brothers, and they got a budget for this album, and this was one of the songs, along with a couple other songs we wrote, which I'll get into later. Tommy Sims, the great Tommy Sims, singer, songwriter, producer, bass player, guitar player, keyboard player extraordinaire, was hired as producer, and I went to Nashville. This must have been around 1996 is when we first cut it. Pretty sure that's when it was. I remember going to Nashville. It was my first trip to Nashville, actually, and my first or second. It's all kind of a blur. And they were going to cut Obsession Blues for the record. They used my demo as a template for ideas, or as a guiding track to help them kind of see where they wanted to go with it. So that day, it was the first day I met Dan Needham, who plays drums for Michael now, as you well know. And he, if my memory serves me, Dan had never heard or listened to Jimi Hendrix before, because Tommy said to him, kind of going for a Mitch Mitchell, Jimi Hendrix experience feel on this tune, and Dan's like, who? And so Dan went and studied up on, because Dan was a lot younger than us. Dan's probably 15 years younger than me, something like that. Anyway, he went and he studied up on Jimi Hendrix, listened to it, got it immediately, understood it immediately. That guy is a genius on drums. Anyway, and so it was Mike, myself, Tommy Sims, and Dan, quartet, bass, drums, guitar, keyboard. And I think Mike did a scratch vocal as we put it down. And we recorded it out at, oh gosh, I don't remember what studio it was. The Dugout, maybe? Might have been the Dugout here in Nashville. And we cut it. I think we got it in about just a few takes. We got it pretty quickly. I played my Gibson Nighthawk on it, I remember, which I don't have anymore, which was broken twice. Anyway, and then I put down an acoustic part, which was, I gotta mute the B string. I put down an acoustic. I think I tuned it so the strings wouldn't resonate that B major. Anyway, I put down that track, and then that was it. I had a guitar solo on it on the original demo, which I liked a lot, but they went a different direction when they cut it. The late Will Osley came in and played a great solo on it. And again, kind of going for that Jimi Hendrix kind of sound. He played like a sort of semi-distorted Stratocaster solo on it, which is a great solo. And when we did it live, I tried to be respectful to what he played on the record, but kind of threw my own thing from the original demo in as well. And that song was always the highlight of the show for me, and I think for Michael's fans, because again, it was such a different song from Michael. Anyway, I'm not sure there's anything else to say about that song other than I'm super proud of it, and it was a landmark moment for me with my writing and my production skills in my relationship with Michael, and I think it bonded us forever. I'm forever grateful for that opportunity, and forever grateful for opportunities I still have, and that I'm still part of Michael's band if we ever go back to work again. Jeez. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this sort of story on session blues. And next, I think I'll be talking about No Love to Be Found in Someday You Will, which were written in the same session. We'll do that next time. But for now, God bless you all. Peace, love. Stay healthy. Be smart. Bye-bye.